After 5 years, one would surmise that Dragon Ball Legends has a massive roster. Not all these characters are great, and some of them are characters that are really good but don't have teams and stuff like that. We're going to talk all about the top 10 teams / tags to invest in and look forward to in the 2024 year. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you are new. Post down below if you guys are excited about any of the teams that I mentioned today, and which teams are you guys looking forward to specifically. Now, admittedly, some of these choices are going to be pretty obvious because they're ones that, you know, the game's always going back to buff these teams or add new characters, etc. So we're going to start off with God Key. God Key, as you see, got a few characters recently, but throughout the year didn't really get a ton. They basically have all those except for Rose, because I don't own Rose. I mean, UI was the first character of the year, the green UI Goku transforming revival character there on the third row. They didn't really get a lot. So the good thing is that they did get some really strong characters, but some of these characters also could have been exported and used on other teams. For example, several of the most recent releases for Universe Survival / Universe Reps, that's a better team for them. So God Key is a team that I think they're going to probably lean a little bit more on, and I hope that if they do that, they lean more heavily on some of the other characters. For example, Beerus, I think, could be a really cool one. I know we just got a free one, but you know, giving us more Beerus love would be fine and nice. Champa, we have that EX one, but the only other one is the old yellow one in here somewhere, so we need another one of those. I would like to see more Zamasu. That could be kind of cool in terms of the fusion Zamasu. We don't have a lot of those, especially like the non-corrupted version. We don't have a lot of those. In fact, do we only have like one? Like I only see one. No, two, excuse me, there's a free one. So technically only really one. So that could be cool. Also, it's interesting that we have 3 UI Omens. I wouldn't be surprised if we got our second version of this Goku throughout the year at some point. So I wouldn't sleep on that as a possibility. But let me know in the comments down below for God Key, what are some character inclusions you would like to see? Because there is still a lot that they haven't done here in terms of this grouping, whether they're popular characters like Goku's or whatever, or the non-popular characters like Whis and Vados too. All right, next on my list is, again, another kind of obvious one. I wanted to kind of get some of these out of the way relatively early. That is going to be the Universe Reps tag. Universe Survival, Universe Reps. Really, I'll also just kind of bubble all these together, like Universe 11, all that stuff, whatever. Universe Reps, Universe Survival, all kind of one thing. So this one is kind of weird. If somebody told me this team wasn't going to get anything this year, I wouldn't be surprised. Why? Well, because they got stuff all year long. So let's look at this right here. So I don't think I'm missing any. Okay, so I'm missing a couple characters. Actually, this is relevant because Hit and Roshi came out early in the year. I think Hit was like the second Ultra release last year, so he's almost a year old or something like that. Anyway, they start with Android 17 right there, the yellow one the blue one, excuse me, next to the yellow 18 on the left-hand side on the second to bottom row. And then throughout the year, they get all the other characters above him because it's sort of by order received, right? And so they got all the other characters above him, you know, whether that's free characters, whatever. They just got stuff all year, including, again, these two that I don't have at the bottom. They got stuff all year, so I'm not really sure if they would get a ton this year. And if they get something, it probably would be very sporadic, few and far between type deal. So if somebody told me they wouldn't get anything this year because they got so much stuff last year, I wouldn't be surprised. And you could argue that may or may not be the best choice in terms of like maybe letting other teams start getting to this level, right? But I wouldn't be surprised if they also, on that same topic, got a couple of characters throughout the year, because it would allow for this team to maintain relevance and be really good if they would get just at least a few characters sprinkled every couple of months, give them a strong character to keep them relevant. And, you know, I kind of wish they did that with more teams, right? You know, one thing I also wish is that you guys, if you have made it to this point and you haven't already, you hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you happen to be new. It does help tremendously. It does let YouTube know that the videos are, you know, worthwhile and people enjoy them, so be sure to hit that thumbs up. Next on our list is well, this is a fun one. I think this one, unlike Universe Reps, this one gets buffed all the time, and I don't ever have a doubt that they'll get more stuff. Movies. So I don't really know what the deal is with movies in terms of like this year. I don't expect there to be a new movie announcement anytime soon. In fact, if there was going to be a movie this year, it would have probably already been announced. So I don't think anything like that's going to happen. They've also already dipped into the superhero well a few times. You know, the funny thing, looking at all the characters since Gogeta Blue, who released at the end of 2022, December, the funny thing about the way Dragon Ball Legends is treating heroes is superhero, excuse me, not heroes. It's interesting because it gives a glimpse into the way they would have handled, you know, other content had they been able to. Example, Legends was around when Broly released. However, when the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie released, they couldn't really do much with it. I mean, they didn't really have the ability to really do those characters. I mean, but even then, Broly is still one of the original characters, like one of the, like, I guess 17 oldest or whatever it is, that Broly from that movie. They didn't really get the opportunity to really do much with that movie because they had to adhere by rules. They had to put, you know, the Super Saiyan Blues and all that stuff in later on. They didn't want to have those characters too early in the game without having released like other versions of them and stuff like that. They couldn't put Gogeta in the game unless it was just Super Saiyan Gogeta, right? That was fine. They couldn't put Blue in for a while. Things like that, right? And they also couldn't really capitalize at all on Dragon Ball Super. They weren't around for that. So it kind of gives an idea into how they would handle that. I just think that's always been really, really interesting when it comes to the discourse on Dragon Ball Legends. They just never got the opportunity to have an anime airing and capitalize on that and drop characters every other week that are associated with the hype from an anime, like Dokkan did and things like that. It's just kind of interesting. So they've dipped into the superhero well a few times because superhero was the first Dragon Ball media that they've been able to do that for. Now I'm curious about Daima. I don't know what characters they even have as plans for Daima. I have no clue. But Daima could be an interesting window for them to do something like that too, if there are characters that are, you know, worthwhile. I'm not so sure about how hype people will be for kid characters, but maybe there's some like cool villains or things like that. I'm not really sure. Anyway, so movies, they got a lot of stuff throughout the year, but they always get stuff every year. So I said all that to say that they're going to get more stuff. So movies is like the safest bet in the game, in my opinion. You know, once upon a time, you could maybe argue it was like Future or something like that, but no, it's definitely movies. They always go back to movies because the reason why is because there's so damn many of them. There's like 20 movies. Maybe, I think there may be a couple more than that. So they can always go back and pull from different parts of the series, and it's all one big amalgamation. Even though they try to do things where like superhero movie exclusive equips, things like that, it's generally one huge amalgamation. Now, one thing that's not obvious that they haven't done really in like a serious way that I am expecting this year is for a real Cell Saga representation. They did drop that Cell in that Cell Saga like mini campaign or whatever they did, celebration, whatever the hell they were calling it. It wasn't a full-on campaign because the Buu Saga and the other ones that we got, you know, were much different than that one. That one was like basically just a time waster. So I wouldn't be surprised if they give this team a literal couple of releases this year and give them a real campaign this year at some point, because there's still so much here. I mean, sorted by order received, I just realized it'd be easier if I flip the order to where the oldest characters are at the top, right? But bear with me. They only got a few characters last year. Look at that top row. So that purple cell at the top is from like 2022, I'm pretty sure. The only new summonable characters, because those other two characters are free, was that Gohan on the top row, and then these two cells at the bottom, and then the Cell Junior. That's it. So like when you look at this roster, there's so much in Cell Saga in terms of potential. All these older variations of characters on the screen currently, like including like the LF or whatever, like all these characters can be redone. I don't even care about any of this stuff. Redo all of it. Now they're not going to do all that in a year span, but the point is they can do all this over. Give us LF Final Flash Vegeta, extremely obvious win. Extremely obvious. A new instant transmission Goku, obvious. New Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. People would hate it because hybrids, but obvious. You know, the game's not even Gohan Ball Legends anymore. It's Goku Ball Legends, baby. It's all Gokus all the time. So Cell Saga is a super easy, obvious like win for them if they decide to dip into it, because there's just so much potential here, because all this crap is so damn old, bro. All this, and like Cell came out in 2022. And that Gohan probably came out with him, that blue Super Saiyan 2. But like the other characters are all like 2021 and earlier. Like this is immensely old stuff here. So it's actually kind of disappointing looking at it like this. But I do think Cell Saga is an interesting choice that they will probably hit on. So if you've been keeping track, we did God Key, which is 1, Universe Reps, movies, and Cell Saga, that's 4. Our 5th choice is Future. You know the funny thing about Future? Like I said a moment ago, you could argue once upon a time this was the team that they loved, because there was a couple year stretch in there where they gave this team everything all the time. They would drop a new Goku Black seemingly every couple of months, whether it was an EX, summonable, or LF, whatever. There was a new Goku Black. They loved it. Look at this like few rows right here. There's a Goku Black. There's several Goku Blacks in 3 rows. In 4 rows, there's a Goku Black everywhere. This just is confirmation. And it's sorted by order received, by the way, and so instead of like ID or like release date, because I generally get every new character when they release, aside from like last year where there was a few characters like these characters that I didn't really get. But there was a period. The point is, there was a period, you can see it here, where there's a Goku Black, whether it's free, EX, summonable, base form, whatever, there was a Goku Black all the time. So that's really, though, not been the case, because this is 2021 Legends Festival release right there with the trunks and stuff. And then we go into 2022, there was some more stuff right here, kind of just jank stuff here. We get the androids, and there's not really a ton here, because even then we get the androids and then we kind of shoot to the Legends Festival again. So that shows you right there, they had already kind of fallen off with this. Well, no. What it is I got the androids really late that year. This is one of the rare times I didn't get a character on time. They should have been closer to that Trunks, but still, the rest of the characters there were like free characters, and that blue Goku Black nobody cares about. I like him though. And then we look at since Legends Festival 2022, in a whole year span, we've got 4 characters, 4 plus these few down here, so 8 characters. And I'm not even sure that the Trunks and Cell are like they may be even a year old. I'm not really sure when they came out, but 8 characters, and some of them are, you know, free characters, EXs, things like that. Premium Ultra, a couple of Premium Ultras. 1 LF it looks like. So Future has not been getting that treatment for the last like year, and it's actually kind of refreshing. So I said all that to say that I think Future's going to get a comeback this year. And you know, I meant to kind of specify earlier in the video, but some of that could be in the form of like Zenkaiing older LFs. I mean, like this guy, for example, could totally get a Zenkai and be really good. Characters like him, or giving equips to characters that are Zenkai'd LFs that don't have them, like Goku Black, and Zamasu doesn't have a Zenkai, but he does have the equip. But you get the point. The Vegeta has both in here somewhere, towards the bottom somewhere. Maybe Vegeta gets an Awoken equip. I don't think his equip is Awoken. So things like that are on the margins too for these teams, and I think that this team is a team that's once upon a time would have been relatively like obvious as a pick, but I don't think should be considered that anymore, because they didn't really get a ton last year relative to expectation. I think people still look at this team are like, oh, here's Future again, when they probably shouldn't, you know, because a lot of their best choices are now outdated. A lot of their best characters are over a year old. Future's really got maybe 2 actually meta characters right now, and that's probably just Vegito Blue and Cell. Goku Black's still really good, the Ultra, excuse me. And there's some good Ultra or LF characters in here. Some good characters in here like Blue Zamasu. I love that Blue Trunks Zenkai. Like, there's some good characters in here, but actually literal meta characters, probably only 2. All right, next one on our list, number 6, and this is gonna please, I think, a lot of fans. We've kind of already hinted at some of the inclusions that they could do for this one, but I think it's time. You know how I just mentioned it's Goku Ball Legends? I have a sneaky suspicion Vegeta Clan's gonna get several characters this year. Why? Well, because Vegeta got done dirty all of last year. There's got to be a reason. Look at the releases here, by the way. Am I missing stuff other than that Trunks? Yeah, just the Trunks. Who cares? So look at the releases. Tell me, when's the last summonable free Vegeta, or like solo Vegeta? Excuse me. That's not the EX one, right? Like, look at the list. There's a tag Vegeta, 2 more tag Vegetas, 3 tag Vegetas right there. Cool. 4 tag Vegetas. If you look at the Super Saiyan 4s now. And then you hit this guy who doesn't exist. Was this guy really the last like actual Vegeta solo character? Really? God damn. The 4-year anniversary? A year and a half ago. Good lord. God, I didn't know it was that bad. Dang. Oh, if I pull up Goku's, it's gonna be hilarious. I'm not even gonna bother. It's gonna be hilarious if I pull up Goku. I can't do it. I can't do it. It's gonna be hilarious. Oh my god, dude, Goku. It's so funny that they start the year off with a Goku Ultra or LF, bro. That's too funny. On the heels of him getting an Ultra just a few weeks ago. Dude, Vegeta's been done so dirty. Dude, in all seriousness, I think this is the most obvious thing in this entire roster, is that Vegeta, not only Vegeta Clan, but Vegeta specifically is getting new characters. And I think several throughout the year. I think Vegeta's going to get several solo characters this year, because long story short, he didn't get any for the last year and a half. Maybe there's something like weird with the placement. Maybe I got another character like out of date. I doubt it, because all the other characters are tags, or free characters, or EXs. it's the most obvious thing, I think. So like I said earlier, there's options here. There's like Final Flash Vegeta. There's other moments and scenes that they could do for Vegeta. Maybe they remake. I don't know that they need to remake from an animation standpoint the Majin Vegeta. I think his animations have held up. I think they're really good. But maybe they do something like that. It just depends on what kind of Vegeta they're trying to hit for, right? It just depends on which portion of the story they're doing. Maybe they'll give us another Super Saiyan God Transformer or another Super Saiyan God Vegeta period, because we only have like 2 in the game. Because Super Saiyan God period is just like absolutely underrepresented in this game for some weird reason between Goku and Vegeta. So there's a lot of options with Vegeta obviously being like the secondary main character in the series. So yeah, they have a lot they can do here. So super obvious. And I think that was our 6th one. We got GT next on the list. This one though, I think is extremely obvious. And I wanted to do it because I thought that GT is kind of interesting because they've got a lot of things, yes, that they could do and get. And they've actually recently got a lot of stuff too. They announced another Platinum Equip coming out probably for Super Saiyan 4 Goku. It would be kind of weird if it isn't for Purple Super Saiyan 4 Goku, at least, because Vegeta just got his. They're probably going to Zenkai some other characters in here. They announced a Zenkai for Omega Shenron. I wouldn't be surprised if Yellow Sin gets one. And I don't think Oob's getting one, unfortunately, but I wouldn't be surprised if Yellow Sin got one. So take that for what you will. They gave them new characters. They probably are going to mess around and give the Tag 4s a Plat here. They gave Gogeta a Zenkai. So, like, and they also did say that, like, while we're in the campaign now, yes, they did say they're going to drop more characters throughout the year. So this is a super duper obvious one. But I do think it kind of depends on which options they do. And this is where stuff's kind of interesting. Between these tags and teams, you can give several teams a buff at one time. And I think that Legends has really hit its stride with this recently. Trying to give multiple teams buffs by giving multiple Z abilities to characters that have a lot of access. That's kind of why, like, Goku gets so many characters, because Goku can be ported out to multiple teams. He could be on Sun Family Saiyan, also GT in this representation, or God Ki and Universe Reps if you're talking about the last Goku. Like, these characters, that's why they get so many releases. Vegeta, again, is kind of the same thing, but Sun Family is just better than Vegeta Clan, and always kind of has been at this point. But that's also because there's more options in that grouping, whereas if it's just Vegeta and Trunks, you know, because we don't have a Bulla yet, I guess. Maybe we'll get a Bulla. That could be fun. From GT, obviously. And other than that, it's like Goku, Gohan, Pan. Like, there's more options there. And they love giving good Gokus. They, for a while, loved giving Gohans. So it is what it is. So that's kind of why these characters, though, in all seriousness, keep getting releases, and why there's not as many villains. And also from the side standpoint of the fact that, well, heroes sell better than villains. That should be no surprise to anybody. Particularly hero characters in popular forms should also be no surprise to anybody. But I think GT has some interesting stuff here. It just depends what they want to do with this one in particular too, because them starting the year with the climax Goku, basically, like, is really weird. I think it's so, like, he could have easily been an Ultra. He could have easily been the, like, Legends Festival, one of the characters there. Maybe not a standalone carry character, but a character that was released. Or, like, starting the year with your big finishing Goku, basically, from the final moments of Dragon Ball GT is just a weird choice to me. So that tells me they're going to go out of order this year. They're going to hit a bunch of stuff. We probably get a new Oob in here. We probably get a new Super Baby. Oh my God, please give a new Super Baby, please. You know what they should do? They should put Baby on the Vegeta Clan tag. They should totally do that. They should totally do that. It's Vegeta's freaking body. Who cares? Make it happen. Things, even though he's like a Sufurian, he hates Saiyans, but he's in a Saiyan body. So there's that ultimate contradiction. He just took the strongest thing around, though, I guess. Anyway. Or Tuffle, as they like to call him. Sufurian, Tuffle, same thing. So yeah, I think they should do that. But Super Baby, I think, is a high candidate. All right, next up on our list. This one, though, I bet nobody expected to see this one. If you expected this one, then you are a real hero. DB. Why? Why? Because I think DB is an interesting one. This also springboards, right? Because maybe they actually try to, like, you can make this like DB/kids. You remember I was talking about Daima? I expect Daima characters, but obviously that would be like, I don't know, anime original. What would Legends classify that as? They would give it its own saga, I guess, and then call it, or maybe call it anime original. But either way, it wouldn't be Dragon Ball, right? Because it doesn't take place in this time period. So I think there could be a subsection where, like, characters from here or other characters like Pan, we don't have a lot of Goten and Trunks, I guess, but basically the characters that make up the kids tag could be a good team. So that also may mean as a courtesy, they are going to also add more characters to DB as well. And then on a side note, they created this tag, gave us a handful of characters and called it a day. And it was also like a movie buff because they gave 3 movie characters here. So like it really didn't feel like much of a Dragon Ball based celebration to me, considering that other than the movie characters, we only got like 3 other characters and one of them was free, right? They didn't really do much else here. They gave us what, 2 Zenkais? Did those both the not Pan. The Chi-Chi got the Zenkai for sure. I'm not remembering if Bulma had hers. I'm pretty sure Bulma got hers in that campaign too. 2 Zenkais. They gave a few equips. It was a good campaign, I guess, in terms of sheer volume of stuff. But I think they could really hit this again with the creation of this tag. I really think that they should come back to this a few times this year. Like I mentioned earlier, adding more stuff could be really, really good to these teams where before they fall off too heavily like GT does every time they try to buff them. I don't think that'll happen this time. But, you know, for GT, they would come out and give them stuff, and then a year later, they come back again. And it's like, bro, coming back a year later is too far. You know, I think they really mastered it last year with Universe Survival, where they came back every couple of months and just gave them new stuff. A year is too long. These teams fall off. Meta is insane. The meta shift's insane. Power creep's insane. So I think this team could totally stand to get some more stuff, and it would be good. It would be really good for them. All right, next up on our list is one that you would think would be kind of obvious, but like isn't. So where this is obvious is the sheer volume of characters we're gonna get. I mean, look at the roster here from Gogeta and Broly right there, Kefla, all the characters. We got a good number of Saiyan characters, and I don't even have all of them. I'm missing a couple, right? Yeah, we're missing Rose and the other 2 characters there. So there's a few other characters we also got. So like Saiyans this is like probably by far the longest tag. I've had to scroll several times. Saiyans will always get new stuff. Hybrids too, to a lesser extent, but Saiyans for sure, because there's so many Saiyans in the series, right? And we don't even have all of them. We don't have guys like Tarbo, things like that. But there's so many Saiyans in the series, they're always going to hit here. But there weren't always, and there hasn't always been a ton of synergy between Saiyans, and Saiyan hasn't really always been a good team. One thing that they kind of did early on was there were several ways they tried to keep Saiyans in check, where they tried to keep Saiyan from being a full-on team. Early on in the game, they were trying to give them like, you know, hero characters on their bench and things like that. They didn't give them too many Z abilities. They also would do weird things with the same characters. Like if it's a melee character, they give them blast-based Z ability for some reason. We didn't have obviously like the enhanced Z abilities with double stat increases and higher single stat increases yet. And a little bit later, we do get some of those things, but they were still being kind of jank about it. And then right here, we kind of hit like a peak with Saiyan teams with like Goku Black, Super Saiyan 3 Goku, that Black Friday that first year. We kind of hit stuff like that. There was a little bit of stuff prior, like Bardock and stuff, but the point is they've always been super cautious. And then throughout the lifespan of Legends, there would be characters that released that were Saiyan classed characters or tagged characters, but they didn't buff the team at all. And this is also when we didn't have a leader skill. But like, I mean, like this whole middle section right here doesn't buff that at all. Like they're buffing other stuff, Super Saiyans, movies, God Key, solo colors like that green Vegeta on the right side with the Ape Vegeta, or from Saiyan Saga, excuse me, he's doing like green, right? He doesn't do Saiyan. Universe 6 characters, they're not buffing Saiyan, right? Every now and again they would hit it. So like the Goku and Vegeta here on the top row from GT, they did buff it. The Broly and the Gogeta don't, I don't believe. And then they also added in the families and started buffing the families a little bit with like the Goku right there on the top row on the far right. But then we have God Key, Fusion Warrior. So the point is, they've always been really cautious. But somewhere along the way, recently, it feels like they've been a lot more lenient with that. In terms of the character Z abilities, because they've started adding in Saiyan a lot more on these Z abilities over the last couple of years. Now the problem is it's typically locked behind getting the character to the 6th star, right, at least, but admittedly they have been adding it in. So I do think Saiyans is a team to keep, you know, a watchful eye on. The problem with Saiyans is because that they have tried so hard to limit this team throughout the years, and they've built other teams around Saiyans on the margin. Saiyan never really became the craziest team, but the other teams are kind of teams that you would rather use these characters on due to synergy issues. Because I talked about Z abilities, but they also will sometimes have gimmicky stuff in their kits where they don't want to be on certain teams. You could maybe supersede that if you make the choice. Like, for example, Pycon, doesn't he have stuff in his kit that says, hey, use me on movies, but people still use them on, like, whatever, right? You could still supersede that. But the point is that they've tried really hard to kind of mess this up. And then there will be a situation where there's a bunch of melee characters and they'll drop a ranged character instead of when you really needed a melee character, but it's because that character's for a different team. So like, it's too broad of a spectrum, so it kind of gets screwed over, basically, is the point. But I think this year, they've given us more flexibility with this team and more strong options, with the Sparking Shallot being an honorable mention here. Characters like this are really, really good for this type of idea, for the team building of this team going forward. They gave a special move increase here for Saiyan specifically. That's pretty strong, dude. That's really, really strong. So I think Saiyans could get more like actual Saiyan buffing characters, is the point. All right, that was number 9. I'll have number 10, and then I will have honorable mentions. In fact, I'll hit the honorable mentions here first. So I'm not going to pull up their tags. Honorable mentions are event exclusives, powerful opponents, and game originals. Well, I'm going to highlight game originals here for a moment. I think we probably get a couple game original characters this year. Don't be surprised if the summon format from Bardock's banner comes back. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Do not be surprised. I do think we get a couple game originals here. Maybe Anniversary of Legends Festival, for example. I think that this is a new thing they're going to be doing. So remember I said a few months back, I think they're going to be doing more stuff similar to how Dokkan did that Future Gohan from the Worldwide Celebration, more original animations and stuff. Legends hasn't really done too much more original animations, but they have done a full-on original character. So remember I was saying that. I was telling you months in advance they're going to do more stuff like that. So I'm telling you again, they're probably going to be doing more stuff like that. So keep that in mind. Game originals is a hot ticket. My only worry with game originals is if they are going to put them out that often, not often, the characters have to be very, very versatile. Like Goku and Bardock are fine. They can be used in multiple teams. They can be in the leader slot, blah, blah, blah. But they're going to run into the same issue where it's like, yeah, they're going to get something every couple of months, but the rest of the roster is so barren because it's all the, shallots of the world and stuff, to the point where, like, I'm worried that, like, a year from now, Goku and Bardock are not as powerful. I think Indestructible is going to age amazingly, but, like, the power creep I'm scared of, so I'm worried about that. As opposed to, like, having an established roster that they can come back to and give Zenkais to improve it more and more, this team's not there yet. It's a brand new thing, so I'm kind of worried about them. Especially because, like I said, they're not going to give them much stuff very often. If they were giving them stuff every other month, I'd be fine. But I feel like it's probably going to be once every, like, 5 or 6 months. And now the actual, now the actual number 10. This is a team that does not get buffed very much. It's Lineage of Evil. Why do I think Lineage of Evil is going to get it? I have a sneaky suspicion that Lineage of Evil will get several introductions this year. They don't have the most, like, chances to do stuff. They've only got a handful of characters. There are still some characters that they haven't really done, like a real Frost, full power Frost. Remember I talked about you can put out characters that buff multiple things like that. Frost would be a character that would be a uni rep, for example. They could do that and have him function perfectly fine on both teams. Stuff like that works, right? They also they did this Golden Frieza. I bet he has Gohan in the background. Yeah, this Golden Frieza is such a tease, bro. Such a tease. Easily could have been a Gohan and Frieza tag character. Easy, or at least assist. Oh my god, it's such a tease. So anyway, they could do stuff like that. They could still do more in terms of variations, right? And last but not least, I actually think that there's a good chance this year that they try to drop more Resurrection F and Battle of Gods characters. So the Frieza from that movie specifically, he's got a couple characters in the game. I'm looking at one right now, that old green one, right? I think that Frieza could get more representation too. Also, I think there's a decent chance that they maybe run a campaign for Frieza from the Namek Saga again. Actually, I don't know that he got a full-on campaign, but he gets characters every now and again. So they come back to that Frieza specifically kind of repeatedly because that's his most iconic, version, right? Because that's his arc. So anyway, I expect more for that. And last but not least, I wouldn't be surprised if Cooler gets another character released this year too. Alright guys, hope you all enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think about some of the options that I threw out there. Kind of all over the place, but also kind of not. We had 10. We had God Key, Universe Reps, Movies, Cell Saga, Future, Vegeta Clan, GT, Dragon Ball, Saiyan, and Lineage of Evil, with the honorable mentions being event exclusives, game originals, and powerful opponents.